Today we discuss about One Nation and One Fertilizer. The Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers has announced that it has been decided to implement One Nation One Fertilizer by introducing a single brand for fertilizers and logo under the fertilizer subsidy scheme named Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Urbarak Pariyojana (PMBJP). Under One Nation's One Fertilizers, companies are allowed to display their name, brand, logo, and other relevant product information only on one-third space of their bags. On the remaining two-thirds space, the Bharat brand and PM BJP logo will have to be shown. The single brand name for urea diammonium phosphate DAP, muriate of potash MOP, and nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, NPK, etc. would be Bharat Urea, Bharat DAP, Bharat MOP, and Bharat NPK, etc. respectively for all fertilizer companies, state trading entities, and fertilizer marketing entities. This scheme applies to both public and private sector companies. It will be bring about uniformity and in fertilizer brands across the country. Drawbacks seen it will disincentivize fertilizer companies from undertaking marketing and brand promotion activities. Some fertilizers not meeting the required standards, the blame is put on the company, but now that is responsible for government. Other drawbacks are it will impact the government's target under Atmanirbhar Bharat to become self-sufficient in fertilizers, which India is currently importing in large quantities. Ammonia is an input of urea produced from natural gas. In this process, natural gas molecules are reduced to carbon and hydrogen. The hydrogen is then purified and reacted with nitrogen to produce ammonia. This synthetic ammonia is used as fertilizer either directly as ammonia or indirectly after synthesis as urea. Ammonium nitrate and monoammonium or diammonium phosphates. Sulfur, which is a raw material for phosphoric acid fertilizer, is a byproduct of oil refineries. Sulfur is major byproduct of oil refining and gas processing. Most crude oil grades contain some sulfur. This is done through hydrotreating and results in production of H2S gas, which is converted into elemental sulfur. Sulfur can also be mined from underground, naturally occurring deposits, but this is more costly than sourcing from oil and gas and has largely been discontinued. Sulfuric acid is used in the production of both monoammonium phosphate DAP. Significance of the scheme, that is standardization. This will standardize fertilizer brands across the nation irrespective of the company that manufactures it. Affordability scheme will ensure affordable quantity fertilizer of Bharat brand to the farmers. This scheme will result in reduction of the cost of fertilizers and increase their availability. Single branding competition among companies that push their brands will get reduced with this single branding, which will ensure sufficient supply of fertilizers across the country. Reduce freight charge. A single brand name will help in the reduction of freight charge due to stopping of crisscross movement of fertilizers. This will help in reducing the transit time. Stopping urea diversion. Major challenge supply side constraints. India is facing a tight supply position in fertilizers, especially of phosphatic and potassic nutrients. Retail food inflation has hit a 7.68% mark. The challenge includes securing supply from new sources, costly raw material, and logistics. The pandemic has impacted fertilizer production, import, and transportation across the world. Global issues. Major fertilizer exporters such as China have gradually reduced their exports in view of a dip in production. This has impacted countries such as India, which sources 40 to 45% of its phosphatic import from China. There has been a surge in demand in regions like Europe, America, Brazil, and Southeast Asia. While the demand has increased, the supply side has faced constraints. There has been a steady increase in price of raw material as well as logistics and freight costs. The disruption in the logistics chain during COVID has caused the average freight rates for ships to jump up to four times. Regulation. A government brand will add another layer of regulation to the fertilizer manufacturing sector, where almost every aspect from product pricing to cost structure to geographical distribution and sale is controlled by the government. Government's rationale is subsidy and MRP. The maximum retail price of urea is currently fixed by the government. The MRPs of non-urea fertilizers are on in paper decontrolled. There are more some 26 fertilizers inclusive of urea on which the government bears subsidies and also effectively decides the MRPs. Supply chain, apart from subsidizing and deciding at what price companies can sell, the government also decides where they can sell. This is done through the Fertilizer Movement Control Order 1973. Under this, the Department of Fertilizers draws an agreed monthly supply on all subsidized fertilizers in consultation with manufacturers and importers. Taking credit, it would be government want to take credit and send that message to farmers. The PM Kisan Samman Sammelan 2022 was also inaugurated at the Indian Agricultural Research Institute. An e-magazine on fertilizers called Indian Edge was launched. Prime Minister also inaugurated 600 PM Kisan Samriddhi Kendras (PMKSK). PMKSK are expected to act as one-stop shop, providing multiple services to farmers. It will supply agri inputs like seeds and fertilizers, besides information about government schemes. About 3.25 lakh fertilizer retail shops will be converted into PMKSKs across the country. About Indian fertilizers industry, India is an agrarian nation, hence it is important to guarantee the availability of fertilizers for productive farming practices and food production. It is the third longest producer of fertilizers in the world. Fertilizers are used to increase and supplement the need for nutrients in the topsoil that are necessary for plant growth. The most abundant fertilizer produced in 2021 to 2022 will be urea, followed by diammonium phosphate and complex fertilizers, which includes ammonium nitrate, ammonium phosphate, nitrophosphate, potash, and nitrate of potash. Government role in fertilizer business. The government regulates the price of urea, the most common fertilizer, so all producers sell at a fixed MRP, which is only 10 to 20% of production costs. By the 1st of March 2018, the Department of Fertilizers had effectively implemented the direct benefit transfer system throughout all states and union territories. The fertilizer direct benefit transfer system release 100% of the subsidy on various fertilizer grades to the fertilizer companies based on the actual sales made to farmers. This is the largest fertilizer initiative implemented by the Indian government till date.